Still spending money, but it's $140,000.
Ready? Okay, ready.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask you to be with us tonight. Give us the wisdom and guide us to make the right decisions. Just watch over our city and be with our citizens. We just thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I'd like to call this evening's meeting of the Jackson City Council to order. We will begin with roll call. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Here.
Newkirk.
Here.
Crabtree. Bach.
Here. Our agenda is the time of recognitions. Mayor Evans?
Yes. Tonight, we have a very special group that we'd like to recognize tonight that do a lot for the city of Jackson. And to kick that off, I'll turn it over to our guy who's kind of over the fire department from the administrative point, our service director, Schweckhammer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I asked Chief Channel if he would ask the firefighters and cadets, as many as could make it, to be here tonight for a couple reasons. One, to give us the opportunity to thank them, but second, 2 years ago, we were down to 6 firefighters, and in this past year, we've grown those numbers. We've enacted a cadet program. Today, I believe we're up to 15 in the number of firefighters, 9 in the number of cadets, and about 3 more. Is that what you said, Chief? 3 more resumes? And
I got about 6 more.
okay. So we're building a force back up, a firefighting force, and a training program that I think really helps the city of Jackson, its community, also the townships that we support, that we can be proud of. So I've asked Chief Channel to come speak for a couple minutes with council. Then I'd also like each of the firefighters and cadets to come up and introduce themselves. I'd like to give them the opportunity to come around that we can actually thank them too, if council will allow it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, you know who I am. I've been here several times over the years. First of all, I'd like to thank council for what you've done for the fire department to help us build our roster back up. Because like Mr. Schweckhammer said, we were down to 6, and that was pretty scary for the amount of runs we've had. We've already had 104 this year. So at that rate, we're going to go over the 300 mark again for the 3rd year in a row. So calls are getting more frequent. So, like Mr. Schweckhammer said, we are up to 15 actual firefighters now and 9 cadets, and they seem very interested. We kicked that program off the 1st of last month, and they come to station every Wednesday night when we're there. They're learning, training, doing PR stuff with us. So they're about like one of us, except they are a cadet, which according to our guidelines, we set from 14 to 18, and then they have to either join or resign. So again, that's really helped build our department up, what you've done for us in our budget, so we can buy stuff that they want, need. That's all comes from you people, so we really appreciate that.
So Chief, if we'll allow these folks to introduce themselves and then come around, and those that are cadets, let's see a few, if you'll just let them know that you're in the cadet role, please.
You got any questions for me? Anybody?
Anything for Chief?
Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth Hopper, and I'm a cadet.
Come around.
Excuse me.
I'm Charles Hopper, I'm a firefighter.
Thank you.
What's your name, Jeff?
Elizabeth.
Aiden Bice, firefighter.
Noel Willis, firefighter.
Hello, Mr. Cadet.
Herb Peoples, firefighter. Thank you. Chris Weiss, firefighter. Adam Jordan, cadet. Eric Malone, firefighter. Kyle Hickey, assistant fire chief.
Look at that.
I like their shirts. Didn't see them till they
I would like to just give all these persons Thank you, Chief. Next, we will have approval of the minutes. Each of you got a copy in your packet. Is there any corrections, objections to the minutes as presented to council? Hearing none, the chair would accept a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Peters, is there a second? Ms. Colby? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Next, we'll step into the committee reports. We'll begin with utility. Chairman, Mr. Newkirk.
Report.
Thank you, Mr. Newkirk. Budget Finance, Chairman, Ms. Colby.
No report.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. Police, Fire, and Traffic, Chairman, Mr. Foster.
I have nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Service, Chairman, Mr. Peters.
I do. Seth Stockmeister left our last meeting and went home and made a map for Dora. It's 57 acres and it covers from the parking lot on Main Street at Arch and Eddie's all the way to Rowdy's, even though I heard they may not want to participate. It's on Google Maps, so it's really hard. It's so large on a screen, it's hard to print. If anybody would like to look at what is a rough draft of a map, or not, this isn't it, let me know. I'll try to forward the link to you so you can look at it on the computer or phone. So, it's a good start. There's some places where I don't think we'll be able to use this map completely. There's a couple of churches that are completely inside the map. I probably don't want to participate in Dora, so, like I said, it's a rough draft, but we would be well under the acreage for what we're trying to do, with Dora. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
It'll be after the meeting, and I'll see about getting you the link to it.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Thank you.
Next, auditor's report, Mr. Reed.
The only thing I'd like to mention is we're pretty well into our audit for last year. GAP conversion's pretty well over, and they're working on the audit, so things are going along very smoothly.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Any questions for the auditor? Next, Mr. Kirby.
I don't have any report.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Chief Hinch.
I just want to update this council. I'd like to want to thank you for a lot of the resources that we've been able to acquire over the last couple years. We participated, I think most people are probably aware there was a barricaded subject situation in Wellston yesterday. They called for our assistance as we do joint special response team with them. We were able to deploy 4 of our guys, very, very well equipped, better equipped than anybody else. Yeah, probably within a 30-mile radius, we were able to use our less lethal, we have a less lethal 40-millimeter can. We're able to deploy some gas rounds. I know that the subject ended up self-inflicted gunshot wound, but all of the other objectives were attained yesterday, and I was actually, as I've reviewed a little bit of video and gotten some synopsis of everything that occurred yesterday, I didn't go. I actually stayed here and worked a shift because we were kind of short on manpower with having 4 people up there for the 9 hours that they endured that. We were able to use the red SRT vehicle that we've gotten, which Sergeant Masters told me yesterday that thing was worth everything we paid for that. Just because it was a place that they could keep their resources and get a break from some of the weather and as they rested and get out of the public eye and use it for planning. And so we were really glad to have it and some of the less lethal options that frankly we didn't have several years ago. All the other objectives of keeping the rest of the public safe, keeping the officers safe, and keeping the situation contained, we couldn't have done without probably those resources. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for allowing the budget to accommodate those items. Part of the reason we were short-handed enough that I worked a shift last night was because we have 2 people currently in sniper school. That's a week-long course, so that he's certified to do that. And I have one guy who's in his 4th of 5 weeks of canine training, and I can't wait to bring that chocolate lab in here for you guys to meet Maggie, the chocolate lab, because she is absolutely one of a kind. So we've had a busy week. I was really proud of it. I know we were talking to service director today. It's just they're really little. It seems like there's really little fires to put out just constantly. And I was really proud of all the stuff that I came in and looked at and saw today. The officer, I'm proud of my officers for performing above and beyond in just so many different ways, including we had a vehicle stolen Friday night. And a lot of agencies in today's world will take the report, get the information, make sure that it's in the statewide or nationwide system, so that if somebody encounters that vehicle, it'll register stolen, they go on to other stuff. And I've had 2 guys that are just, they won't sit down long enough to eat. They just keep going lead after lead after lead, looking for one more business with camera. We've developed a suspect, we've developed a co-conspirator with that, and we're working diligently to get that vehicle returned, as we speak. So couldn't be more proud of the police department that I get to represent, so.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Henry?
I have a question. I'd like to thank the chief. He provided me with the policies on the pursuits that I asked about last week, and I appreciate it very much. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
When is that big truck gonna be black instead of red?
Never. Never. I'll tell you what, we get a lot of questions, and I've gone around and around with some of my guys. It's in beautiful shape. I think a bunch of the guys over here will hope that it's the appropriate color for public service vehicle. But, it doesn't stand out quite as much because of the way it looks, which gives us just a little bit of an edge of, if everybody in town sees the Jackson PD SRT SWAT truck, whatever you want to call it, labeled, really big like that, it becomes newsworthy if we're taking it down to the gas station to just get fuel in it. So I think we like that we're not going to use it to run traffic, so it gets us there, and to anybody else following on the road, they don't know if it's not another ambulance going to take somebody to kidney dialysis, so.
This is true.
We can like it.
Free truck, free candy, something.
I did when we were looking for a vehicle, I did suggest maybe a Oldsmobile.
Thanks. Before we go to Mayor Evans, Chief Channel, I think you had a few cadets who came in. If you would help them get introduced, I'd appreciate it.
I'll get up, McCoy.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Strauss, and I'm a cadet. Aaron Strauss, and I'm a cadet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, Channel, while we have you here, it's a pleasure to have you here at council. Would you like to expound on some things about the department or anything to report on? I know you gave a small synopsis. Have you had anything else you wanted to address the council with?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. So at this time, there will be the mayor's report. Mayor Evans?
Well, I know it was hard to catch those names, but at people like Dave and I's age, we can't remember names anyway. But hopefully we'll see you around and get to know your names. But on behalf of the entire council and administration, we really appreciate what all you're trying to do, Chief Channel and the entire fire department. It's been a real swing in the right direction the last couple of years after things were looking really bleak. And the same with Chief Hinch, who was talking about how things that council's provided him, and that he's been able to build back the police department also, and we're real proud of that. I guess it's timely to stress tonight that that's income tax money doing that, providing him with the resources he needs, building back up the numbers, and the police officers getting cruisers and the other equipment he talks about. That's our income tax money doing that, so I don't ever like to let that not be known, especially tonight where that's one of our topics for our ordinances. So thanks to the police department too. I'm just telling you, police and fire is very important to this administration. I know it is to this council too, and we're just real happy with the way things are going in both departments. I'll update you guys on a few projects. We are currently advertising for bids for our summer paving project, such as we've been doing each summer. We've got tentatively identified about 30 streets or sections of streets. First week of May is when we'll be getting bids in. So we want to try to get the word out there that we're looking for paving contractors to bid this out. We expect it to be in the ballpark of about 1.2 million paving again this year, which is about what it was last year. Most of that was in the budget that you guys approved last December. Part of it is actually in our project funds from grant money. Also, we're currently advertising right now for what we call a Clint Taft Sewer Project, which we've talked about for a couple of years here. And we're finally able to get funded through the CDBG grant with the Jackson County Commissioners. We have a bid opening week after next, I think that one is. This involves mostly repair and lining that major sewer line that goes from the Clinton Street area over there on Morton Street all the way out to serve the McKittrick Heights area and Taft Street. Also, the South Street water line replacement project is progressing nicely. It's a very highly traveled street, so there have been some issues there with settling in the trenches, dust from the fill, but we're trying to stay on top of the contractors and the engineers who's building the contractors to try to make sure they are doing the best they can there. That project's got a ways to go. They will probably start doing some of the trench repair once asphalt is available, which isn't yet. Normal hot asphalt. There again, this is all grant money project. And then another new project that we had a bid opening on and is in your packet to award tonight is the 93 South, what we're calling the 93 South Water Line Project, which goes from 32 out to Anderson Drive, replacing some very, very old water lines, and also including the water lines that go under 32. Local contractor actually was a low bidder, and we'll be asking you to accept that tonight. We can talk about that when we get to that. And there again, this is all grant money. We expect the grants to cover 100% of this project. Some of the water lines are over 100 years old and problematic there, south of State Route 32. And then just to mention, it's really neat. Doesn't involve the city much and not open to the public, but the Ohio Supreme Court is holding a session in Jackson this Wednesday at the Jackson Middle School. Just a great opportunity for some of the middle school kids, and they've been preparing for that. And exciting news. You'll probably read about it or hear about it. But they're actually going to hold session at the Jackson Middle School on Wednesday of this week, actually. So I think that's all I have for tonight. Thank you. Y'all have any questions?
Any questions for the mayor? Thank you. Mr. Swikammer?
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that the Distribution Collection Department is flushing hydrants. That started today, and it'll last about 4 weeks. So they're beginning on south of South Street, and will work north throughout the month-long period. Also a reminder that the community's Arbor Day celebration is this Friday at 11 a.m. The mayor will be providing a proclamation, and the Tree Commission will be there. Tree Commission, the City of Jackson was recently awarded a Tree City USA standing again. This is our 30th year now that we've total number of years of being a Tree City USA. Also, just remind folks that we are in mowing season, and we will be doing the first round of reviews here over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So code enforcement will be out, asking everybody to get ahead of it with their own mowing and trimming. And the last item I have, the city posted last week on our Facebook site a request for, really it's people of Jackson County, not just the city, to take a quick survey. The Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission, better known as OVRDC, which is one of several districts within Appalachia that helps us plan and try to improve the region, in particular in traffic and transportation, a committee that I'm on, and they're looking for feedback from the communities. So although it's on the City of Jackson's website, the link is for anybody within the county that wants to take 2 to 3 minutes, answer some questions to help direct where we should focus our intentions.
Thank you, Mr. Swikammer. Questions for the clerk, Mr. Peters?
Apparently, one way to get the first ward voters' attention is dust. I got more calls in the last 2 weeks than the last 6 years I've sat in the seat. I reached out, I didn't realize that you had the weather, and then I couldn't reach back out to you because I haven't had time to talk to you.
I passed it on.
So, the issue is, it's really dusty, really dusty. Like, it rained a couple of days after they did that first cut. I don't know I don't know if anybody heard on the other end of, I guess on the west end of South Street, no one complained, but, I mean, I went to check it out and stood on my front porch and looked at the light on Broadway, and I could barely see the traffic light because it was so dusty. I get it, work area, but they need to do something in the evening. It's gonna, probably as they work through the summer, it's gonna get drier and drier, and they're creeping into my ward, so I'll be the person who complains about it, I guess. But they need to do something, either wash it off the roadway and wet the gravel down or something, but it's really bad, and it's not pollen because it's dirt. So I had someone say, oh, it's just pollen, it's dirt, grainy dirt. George's house, George Kitchen, across the street, it rained, the whole side of his house, his white house, it was brown, like it was dirt. For us, as a voter, that's unacceptable. As someone who sits in the seat, we have to hold these people to do something rather than they're doing their best to control it. They need to control the dust. Second, while I'm on the topic, because it came up as well with neighbors calling and emailing, the Columbia Gas project is complete, but it doesn't look like it's complete in some places. They came in and seeded some of the places, and then they came in and and dumped more topsoil, and then dug another portion up on down Bond Street. So it's just done, so if we have any issues, do we do I need my neighbors to call Columbia Gas, or do he call you? What's the protocol?
Yeah, no, the protocol, well, Columbia Gas, although their big project crew is done, they're still doing some remediation and spot repairs, but Columbia Gas still is a different group, is still doing their normal service repairs, tear-up that's unrelated to the project. But right now, we have a contact, we can reach out to them, but they really need to contact Columbia Gas directly at this
The
stage.
issue is on Bond Street, they dug the right of way up, not the street. Well, they unearthed everything that, 200 years of whatever was in the ground there, well, 100 years probably. And there's rock and that weird stuff from, that they buried everywhere from just across the, I don't know what, it's like leftover byproduct of when they had the iron furnace out here. That stuff's buried all on the ground, it's everywhere. My insurance agent would probably be upset if Cardo's was open on Sundays, as many rocks as I just hit, and I know it's all the way down the street. And that's why I was like, my one neighbor's like, well, they'll come back and they'll clean this up. And I was like, no, I think they're done. So that's what, I'll just have them reach out to Columbia Gas.
Yeah, I mean, I can reach out and see where the remediation crew is. They outsource the pipe work, they outsource 2 or 3 different phases, so the final phase may or may not be done yet, but I'll reach out to them tomorrow and find out what's going on for sure. If I can, on the other one with the dust, when the mayor reached out to me after you had the conversation, I did try to reach out to you, or I did talk to the contractor. They're kind of in a catch-22. They can go in there, the way the wind's blowing, every day it seems like, they can go in there and try to sweep up, and that's just going to put more dust up in the air. They go in there and wet it down, and you're going to end up with a little bit of mud, but it's drying out so quickly, it wouldn't even last until they were back in the next morning. So I think we'll continue to improve and work with the contractor, but we're going to ask for some patience too as we move forward with this project. As you mentioned, when we were on the other end, the David Avenue end, we never heard anything
All the
until...
noisy people live in the first one.
I'm not going to say.
That's fair enough. I'll pass along for anyone who's not listening now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Mr. Elliott? I have a question about the EPA and the wastewater treatment plant. We have this notice in our packet. Can you enlighten us a little more on that?
Yeah, it's been, a month ago when we had an outside contractor.
More than that now.
Okay. Outside contractor had used a local business's grease trap in order to try to relieve their load and pushed it back through our sanitary sewer. We were contacted, the police were contacted. It's an ongoing investigation, but it brought the EPA into the city. And the city is seeing an increase in grease coming from either industrial, commercial, restaurants, food service, whatever it may be, showing up down at the wastewater treatment plant. We are looking at our current ordinance for traps, but we also are looking at those that were recommended by our EPA contact. Emily's very good in working with us, helping provide guidance. That is the next step the city's going to have to do, is really get a better handle on the grease that's getting into our sanitary sewer through various means.
Okay.
Mr. Schweikhammer, any other questions for the service director?
I'd just like to add a little more clarity there. It was in the books, in your ordinances now. There is a ordinance been on the books for a very long time requiring grease traps at restaurants, at any facility that would produce grease. And of course, restaurants being the main one. But like many things, it's just kind of been overlooked for a long, long time. And the reason it's there is to prevent grease from entering the sewer plant. And since we've had that problem now, they're probably going to look for us to try to do more about what should have been being done all along. And so that's probably coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
It won't be something new. It'll just be, we get to blame for enforcing all these rules, creating all these new rules that have been here for 20 or 30 years, no one enforced them. So that's probably coming too.
Any other questions for the service director?
One last thing.
Yes, Mayor.
I figure that's Hickey setting off a tone so they can get out of here. But I just would want to thank you all for coming. We're getting ready to read ordinances and resolutions now. You are absolutely welcome to stay, probably be another 15, 20 minutes before we adjourn. But if you want to get up and leave, I don't want you to feel embarrassed about it. I know it's an awfully nice evening out there. But if we want to go, now's the time. You understand? That's the important part is stuff coming up here. You know?
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
With that, we will begin the ordinance and resolution portion of our meeting. We will begin ordinance on second reading. We'll begin with ordinance 2124. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance amending the City of Jackson zoning regulations, Chapter 2, to remove family care home and group care home as a conditional use and to add small residential facilities, emergency protective shelters, large residential facilities, permanent supportive housing, and residential treatment facilities and transitional living centers, and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Hearing none, this constitutes second reading of ordinance 2124. Next, for council consideration, second reading, ordinance 2224. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance amending the City of Jackson zoning regulations, Chapter 5, to remove Section K regulations for family care and group care homes and replace it with Section K regulations for emergency protective shelters, permanent supportive housing, large residential facilities, and residential treatment facilities, and transitional living centers, and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Hearing none, this constitutes the second reading of ordinance 2224. Next, ordinance on second reading, ordinance 2324. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance amending the City of Jackson zoning regulations, Chapter 9, to add definitions for emergency protective shelters, permanent supportive housing, residential treatment facilities, and transitional living centers, and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Hearing none, this constitutes second reading of ordinance 2324. Next, for council consideration, ordinance first reading. We'll begin with ordinance 2424. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance authorizing an income tax at the rate of 1.5% for the purposes of street and sidewalk repairs and/or replacement and for maintenance or construction of other city infrastructure, the demolition of unsafe buildings and general operations and services of the city, including funding the operations of the police department and fire department for a continuing period commencing January 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2424 as presented to council? Is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. We'll have discussion. We'll begin with Mr. Kirk.
Okay. So the ordinance that's attached, the tax code that's attached, is the tax code that's currently in place, has been in place. There's a couple of questions, and you'll notice that through there were some years, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22. That's not an oversight. I will verify that it's correct to leave it. But the reason it's there, for example, on the first one, it talks about limiting the operating loss that a person can carry over. We don't want to make that a later date. We're already into a tax code, and we don't want to carry that over. It should go into place like we had originally planned in 2026 for the full walls. So that's throughout there. There's a number of places in there, those are intentional. I will send to you, the only changes from the current code are some changes that that Rita has requested all of its participants in its planning. It came to all of the cities, it came to Wellston and Oak Hill and all, and everywhere else in Ohio. It updates some of the changes in the state code, so we incorporated those. I will send you all, there's not that many changes, but I'll send them to you, so you know what they are. There's one of them that Mr. Peters pointed out, that is section 6, and that's on the carryover. I'm sorry, not the carryover, the credit. I was under the assumption that that may be to bring it up to date with the state code. I'm not sure, so I'll find that out. But other than that, there's not a lot of changes from what we've had.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkland.
One change was pointed out that was mentioned in the reading, but we specifically included the fire department in this as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. Questions for Mr. Kirkland, Mr. Peters?
Just really later, while Mr. Cookie was talking about section 6, it says no credit is provided to residency for tax paid in other municipalities. And that was a compromise point last time. I just want to make sure we keep that credit intact. I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
It's just it's worded a little different, just want to make that clear.
So, if I could, that's what we struck out. As I recall, you wanted to give a partial credit.
Correct.
Okay. So the way we have here is, and I think this is consistent with the state code, gives up to 1% credit.
Right.
So if we have 1.5%, we're going to get 0.5%.
Right.
Okay.
People that have to pay, you have to pay the tax where you work. So, and if you live here, you have to pay it too. But we'll give you up to 1% credit for what you have to pay elsewhere, off of what you have to pay here.
We want to keep them,
Yeah.
some of us.
Other discussion?
That's a quick question. Just for my understanding, I probably should know this, but I see this is commencing January 1st, 2026. Do we review it now? Is this the appropriate time to review?
So this one, the current one will expire December 31st of 2021, so this will have to go on the ballot. So it can go this general election, and if it passes, it'll be in effect then. If not, it can be considered next year as well.
If I can add to that, one of the reasons also that we looked at doing it this fall is our grant cycles are usually 2 to 3 years out. A lot of those have match money either required or reimbursements. And if we would wait a year to put those on, not knowing if it was going to pass or not, we would probably lose at least 1 full year of grant cycles.
Mr. Franklin?
And even add to that, I mean, not only are we getting the tax money, we're going to get a lot more grant money because we have the tax money to go with it. It's compound effect.
Other discussion?
Yes, this is going to expire the same way the other one did, correct?
No,
This is... Okay.
like, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but not all income taxes are.
Yes.
We put it on.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
And that was a big change I didn't mention, so apologize for that.
Everybody knows how to remove it if they have to remove it.
Exactly.
Further discussion? Any further action on ordinance 2424? Hearing none, this constitutes the first reading of ordinance 2424. Next, for council consideration, ordinance 2524, first reading. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance calling for the placement on the ballot of the next general election in the city of Jackson, Ohio, the issue of enacting an income tax at the rate of 1.5% for the purposes of street and sidewalk repairs and/or replacement, and for maintenance or construction of other city infrastructure, the demolition of unsafe buildings, and general operations and services of the city, including the funding, the operations of the police department and fire department for a continuing period commencing January 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2524 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Bob? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mayor Evans.
This is the ordinance to actually approve putting it on the ballot in November. It includes the actual language there that you will see on the ballot. Our goal is to let this go 3 readings, that's why we're here early in the year, to try to get the word out and be very transparent about it.
Other discussion? Any further action to be taken on ordinance 2524? Being none, this constitutes the first reading of ordinance 2524. Next, council consideration, first reading, ordinance 2624. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the Community Improvement Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2624 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swykamp.
Yes, late last year, the city did receive the BRIC grant for $400,000. And so what you have here in the next 3 ordinances is the funding, moving it from the 228 fund into line items and a cash in, cash out into the project. This is a reimbursement, so therefore we got to fund it in order to get it back. But it is going to be fully paid for by the BRIC grant for $400,000. I would ask council to consider letting us move forward with those. We do have an engineer that is ready to work with us.
Further discussion? Mr. Elliott?
Move to suspend the rules.
Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Peters, second. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Yes. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Ordinance 2624 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration on first reading, ordinance 2724. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance transferring funds to reimburse funds from the FEMA mitigation project and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to approve ordinance 2724 as presented, council? Mr. Peters? Is there a second? Mr. Newkirk? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion. Any further action to be taken on ordinance 2724? Motion by Mr. Peters, a second by Ms. Colby. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster. Yes. Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters. Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree. Bach.
Ordinance 2724 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, ordinance 2824. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the 2024 FEMA Flood Mitigation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2824 as presented to council? Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Mr. Crabtree? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Any further action to be taken on ordinance 2824 as presented to council?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. Elliott, second by Ms. Colby. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters. Newkirk. Crabtree. Bach.
Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree. Bach.
Yes. Ordinance 2824 is duly adopted. Next, council consideration, ordinance 2924, first reading. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance reducing appropriations in the Clinton Taft Sewer Repair Project to keep from exceeding estimated revenue and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2924 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Elliott? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Schweikhammer.
Yes, Mr. Reed brought it to our attention that when we set this one up in the budget, we didn't realize that the one running through the county through the CBDG does not need to be on our budget, it's going to be carried on their budget, so that's why this is a reduction.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Other discussion?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. Elliott, second by Ms. Colby. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Ordinance 2124 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, ordinance 3024. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the McKinley Park Recreation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 3024 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Reed.
This is money that we put in the McKinley Park project expense for Atlanta Bellman to maintain the park. So we put the money in there. She will turn in receipts for it. She does the cleanup, the mulching, the trimming, and does a wonderful job with it. So this is money that's actually given from tourism, put into a city account, and then we reimburse her.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Further discussion? Mr. Peters?
I'll move to suspend the rules for...
Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Crabtree? Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Ordinance 3024 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, resolution 1824. Ms. Coon?
A resolution of the legislative authority of the City of Jackson, Ohio, to accept the bid of Wilson Excavating of Jackson County LLC in an amount of $986,123 for the 93 South Waterline project, as it was the lowest and best responsive bid submitted, and declaring an emergency.
I get a motion to adopt resolution 1824 as presented to council.
Move to adopt.
Second by Ms. Coleman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mayor Evans.
This resolution will award the contract of that 93 South Water Line to Wilson Excavating of Jackson. They were by far the lowest bidder and seemed to be a responsive bid. And we'd like to go ahead and give them the notice to proceed.
Thank you, Mayor. Other discussion?
How many bids do you have in it?
We have three.
Since you know bidding, what was the second bid? Over me?
Oh, yeah.
A lot?
Yeah, the second bid was close to $1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
And it's public information, so. We had we hoped to receive actually 5 or 6 bids, but didn't. And maybe we got one that fits the budget very nicely. This will be completely covered with grant funds from the Ohio Department of Development.
Other discussion?
If I could add to that, this project has to be completed and all the paperwork turned in this year to get refunded for it, so we would like to award it as soon as possible, please.
I think he's asking for consideration of first reading. Consideration of passing the first reading.
Any further action to be taken on resolution 1824? Mr. Mr. Newkirk?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Newkirk, is there a second? Ms. Colby? Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Colby? Yes. Peters?
Yes.
Newkirk? Crabtree?
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Colby? Yes. Peters?
Yes.
Newkirk? Crabtree?
Resolution 1824 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, resolution 1924. Ms. Coon?
A resolution accepting the donation of 15 Motorola XPR 3500E radios from the Jackson Firefighters Association for use by the Jackson Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 1924 as presented to council? Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Second. Ms. Colby, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, the Jackson Firefighters Association, through their fundraisers, has bought many pieces of equipment for our department over the years, and just in this case, 15 new radios, asking us to be able to take them as city property. We will insure them, but they will be the city's at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Swackhammer. Other discussion?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. Elliott? Second by Mr. Peters. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Colby? Yes. Peters? Newkirk?
Yes.
Crabtree? Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
Colby? Yes. Peters?
Yes.
Newkirk?
Yes.
Crabtree?
Yes.
Bach.
Resolution 1924 is duly adopted. Finally, for council consideration, first reading, resolution 2024. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing an agreement with New River Engineers Incorporated to provide professional engineering services for the Salt Lick Creek flood study and declaring an emergency.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2024 as presented to council? Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Mr. Crabtree? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swackhammer.
Actually, I'll take this one to start with. We had, earlier in the meeting, we had three different transfers and type things for that $400,000 WIC grant. And this is what we're going to do with it. This is hiring the engineering company to do a comprehensive study of Little Salt Creek and the flooding effects of it, and try to recommend the solutions to that, or anything that can help mitigate it. We have worked with this New River Engineers. We've got a couple of project experience with them and like working with them. We interviewed 3 different companies before we selected them. We're excited about getting that study started soon. The issue I see, and we did notice, David and I told here recently, is we would like to have that entire $400,000 approved there. We are hiring, this $197,250 is right, that's for the first phase of their work. And then hopefully that'll make recommendations of what to start engineering or looking at as possible solutions. So we're going to continue right on with that. So I don't know, Joe, can we just change that number here? The first phase contract that we signed with them is this amount, but we want to be able to go ahead and use the $400,000 that was the grant we received.
With this company or with others?
With this company.
Okay.
You tell us, Joe.
I would like to, I wouldn't like to exceed the amount of the contract. I'm more comfortable with leaving the one at this amount, since that's what's in
So
the
then we want to go
contract.
further with another contract
And
like that?
we can approve it, because they're going to have to do a new contract with it.
Right, they would. Well, I don't know, I didn't read the contract as.
It was limited to that amount for a certain amount of work.
Okay, well, we've had this, we just started it. But there's the 400 there that we talked about in those 3 previous ordinances that we hope to spend looking for answers. We're looking for answers. There's probably no real solution, but we're looking for answers to help with the flooding situation throughout Jackson, with Salt Lake Creek.
Other discussion?
Just a quick question.
Is it just purely analysis then on their part? Is that amount, is that just them doing their own analysis and study? Is that what that is?
And recommendations, and then from there, then we hope to engineer potential solutions.
Okay.
That will help.
And how long do they anticipate phase one lasting?
Did tell us, 6 months?
6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Crabtree. Other discussion? Further action to be taken on Resolution 2024? Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Newkirk. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes. Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters. Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree. Bach.
Resolution 2024 is duly adopted. This concludes our ordinance and resolutions portion of the meeting. Thank you, council, for your work. I also would like to thank Ms. Coon for her work. I have not, I've been very diligent in not saying things I should here in regards to the job that she does, and I do appreciate her keeping the chair straight. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ms. Coon. Next on the agenda is correspondence. I don't know that we have any correspondence. So next would be old business. Do we have any old business to involve? Mr. Elliott?
Just a little matter in the minutes of the zoning appeals from last week's ago. That decision was contingent upon the square feet of the house, not the property. So we need to make that correct.
Oh, I see. Where it says 620
Yes.
lot size instead of, yeah.
It's not lot size,
You're
it's
right.
house size, yeah.
Okay. So are you making a motion for a correction to the minutes?
If that's what's required.
Yes, I think so, because we've approved them. Well, we need to amend them, right? Oh, the zoning minutes. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong set of minutes. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. I apologize for that.
We have 2 meetings, the public hearing and the zoning regulations meeting next week.
So that would be,
The Crossroads.
yeah, the Crossroads.
Next Monday, the 29th,
29th.
at 6:15.
Yes, at 6:15. And then we will have a public meeting at 6:30 on May the 13th, meeting at 6:30 also. And that meeting will revolve around the ordinances 21, 22, and 23 that were passed on second reading this evening. Mr. Whitehammer.
Everyone should have gotten an email from Cindy in preparation for next Monday night's meeting with Crossroads. It's very lengthy, that attachment is, but it's very important that everyone take the opportunity to, I hate to say it, print it out, mark it up, so we make the next meeting, next week, a very productive meeting. If we're just reading it for the first time next Monday night, we're kind of wasting Crossroads' time.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Other old business?
I have one other thing. I just want to remind everybody about the financial disclosure that has to be done by May 15th. So our next meeting is when? So not till May 13th, so that only gives you 2 days. I want to make sure I give you a reminder now. Hopefully everyone has that finished.
Thank you. Any other old business to be brought before council?
I would just like to reach out to the administration, now that we have something to go with for our legislation. I'll try to get to you this week, if not next week, where we can sit down with this map and kind of go over, both sides of this. And then also, I guess seek permission to meet with the chief of police as well. Not on our schedule, maybe whenever he's free or whenever I'm free. to get his input as well.
I would like a copy of what you have, and I would like to participate with the conversation with the chief of police.
Sure. We'll figure it out. I'll get you the link ASAP, though. I think he has to share it, but I'll just send him your email. I think he shares a link to get to the map.
Okay.
Any other old business to be brought before council? If not, looking at new business, is there any new business to be brought before council? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Peters, is there a second, Ms. Colby? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.